Welcome to everyone who's listening. This is the Cracking On podcast with Master Debonair. I'm Kyle, the content executive here at MD, and I'm joined in the room with Simon Whittaker, aka Master Debonair, and life coach, inspirational speaker, and renowned podcast host, Mr. Paul Mort.
What up? What up? I'm here. I've broke the professionalism already. So obviously my name's Paul Mort. Let's start with where I'm at right now. I work with married businessmen in the main who need to get their shit together, and I've ended up here almost. My speaking coach goes crazy about this. I've almost ended up here by accident. In 2014, I had a successful business. I lived in Marbella, had everything, but inside I was, let's just say, suffering. By the end of that year, 2014, I was suicidal on the cliffs in South Shields. I've been on a little journey of self-discovery since then and managed to turn my life around. And basically a bunch of people asked me how I did it, and I've ended up coaching them. I've ended up writing a book. Last year I was named Master Coach of the Year. We've got a bunch of followers on Instagram, Facebook. I've got a video that's had 5.8 million views, which is mad.
Crazy.
Started a podcast where we've had people like Tyson on, and now I'm lucky enough to get invited on a podcast with Mr. Simon Whittaker from Mort Talks Sh.
You're more than welcome.
And get a fucking banging suit out of it as well.
I must admit, he's got one of my favourite suits on.
Look
it,
adorable.
and he just looks beautiful. But I'll just set the scene. You know, a lovely sky blue, gold check light suit with a pair of black ripped jeans and a lovely pair of Nikes on. And I tell you what, he absolutely rocks it.
Isn't it mad? Isn't it mad?
Love it.
It's
Love
mad.
it.
Peacocking. Listen,
Yeah.
when you got a suit as good as this, you can wear whatever you want with it.
Exactly, mate.
I love it. I love it. What else do you need?
So basically, like, you've in essence told us a bit about it.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, what was the turning point and what set you on the journey that you're on now, specifically?
Yes, dude, I get it. So I've told this story. There's one sentence I'm going to say that I've said hundreds of times, and even now, every time I say it, I get emotional. Like, even now. So I've said this on a stage. I've said this at Wembley. I've said it on loads of podcasts. But the moment that changed, it was two, actually. The first one was when I was stood on that cliff. I think it was about the 17th of December 2014. And actually, I got a comment the other day saying, why was your wife there? Right? Because my wife was there. And everyone was like, what, you were going to kill yourself and you took your wife with you? I was like, yeah, here's the deal. I used to go missing so often that my wife was so stressed about it because at the time my son was 3. My daughter was like 1, maybe even younger than that. And I was so volatile and I had so much shit going on that I'd just disappear and turn my phone off for days. So my wife, quite literally, every time I get in the car, she would follow me in her car, which is a bit fucked up. So anyway, she stood in front of me on this cliff and she said to me, I was like, listen, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do this now. I was in so much pain and I was so dark. And she said, think about the kids. And I said, listen, I am thinking about the kids. And if you've ever been this low, there's no logic involved at all. Like, the emotion's so deep and so powerful that you're not thinking logically. And I was like, yeah, they'd be better off without me. Horrible to be around, awful to be around, grumpy, volatile as fuck, drinking all the time, sniffing loads of coke. And she then said something that still, like, every time I say it, I get emotional because it reverberates in my body every time I say it. And she said, well, okay, think about the kids growing up as those kids whose dad killed himself. And I was like, I wasn't willing to put them through that because they'd have to carry that guilt for the rest of their lives. And even guys that I'm working with now, because I get a lot of this coming my way, I mean, listen, if you want your kids to grow up with that guilt and your mum and dad to have that guilt and your wife to have that guilt for the rest of their life, then that's like, I'm literally calling people out on that when they come to me, because I think for men, and what I found was that I didn't need smoke blown up my ass. I didn't need mollycoddled, and I think that's a problem for a lot of men these days. They think they're going to get mollycoddled. Men don't need to man up. I don't think that's a thing. They need to wake the fuck up. And that's essentially what I do. And that's what happened to me. That woke me up. And then I remember, only a few days later, I actually remember Christmas Day, the Suicide Watch team were at my house. For you guys that don't know that are listening, the Suicide Watch team basically babysit you to make sure you don't kill yourself. I mean, I know I'm speaking quite abruptly here, but that's the way it is. There's no point beating around the bush.
I think it's
There's
important.
no point beating around the bush.
But this is, you know, from where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think from my own experience over the years, being in quite similar situations until probably 12 months ago, is that, you know, you can't keep it all in. No. You know, you can't just feel alone. You've got to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, you know, unfortunately, you're not going to be around.
And I think that, you know what, I was talking to my wife about this morning. We're talking about mental health charities and this talking thing. I actually don't think talking is anywhere near enough. I think it's a start. Yeah. I think it can make you feel a little bit better, but not if you go back to doing what you were doing. Because I didn't get that by accident. That outcome, that scenario that I found myself in didn't happen by mistake. I didn't catch that depression thing. I didn't catch it. It's not contagious. It's not COVID-19. So I'd actually created that situation for myself through my actions, through where I was at mentally, where I was at physically, through my habits. I ended up there. So talking's a start, but then it's got to be about changing your actions and making better decisions. So for me, the second piece that woke me up, there was a lady called Donna, who everyone's like, you need to get her on your podcast, but I can't get in touch with her. Because obviously, when you're dealing with people like me, you don't give them your personal number. It was a job. So I'm trying to get a hold of her now. And she was a Macam, like yourself. Yeah. And she was a very strong Macam accent. Like Paul. She called us Paul. ER Paul. Are you a Geordie? No, I'm not a Geordie. So anyway, everyone listening be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But anyway, Donna was hardcore. Yeah. And she basically handed me my arse. She didn't mollycoddle me. She said, Paul, listen, if you don't get your fucking shit together, there was one day she came and I was hungover because I'd been drinking. She was like, Paul, if you don't get your shit together, I think she might have called me son. She was like my age. If you don't get your shit together, son, you're going to die. And I was like, I'd never been... during that process, by the way, I'd seen all sorts of shrinks. Anything with an ist on the end, I'd seen them. Therapists, psychotherapists, psychology, all the works, I'd seen them all. And I'd look them in the eyes, I'd be like, you've got no fucking idea what I'm going through here. I think that's the hardest part because, you know, I think you're on your own.
You do, and it's understanding the individual. You know, I had some counselling years ago, and actually, she was fantastic, and she really helped me understand myself and how to cope with certain things. But sure enough, you know, further years down the line, slipped back into it. The drinking got worse. Yes. And there just comes to a point, you know, I mean, I had an ultimatum sort of 12 months ago nearly now. I think I'm a couple of weeks off being teetotal for 12 months. Nice. And it was literally either you're going to lose everything, you're going to lose your marriage, you're going to lose your kids, you're going to lose your house, ultimately lose your business, but potentially lose your life as well. And it has to change, and I talk about this a lot. You know, willpower doesn't come into it. There's no such thing as willpower, in my opinion. No. It's a complete change in mindset, but you can't do that on your own. You've got to find either the right person to work alongside,
the right people to be around,
and you know, your family. Like it didn't matter what my family said to us. I was still gonna self-destruct. You know, it's really somebody understand. So where I'm interested from what you said, and I must start working with you because you talked about married men there. And I can imagine, you know, and we're not just saying it's about married men, but if you've got that experience with...
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I work with women. I work with single lads. I work with people that haven't got businesses. But my main target market's probably the not right way to put it, but it is. Yeah. It is married men. And that's simply because that's my experience. And I think that I'm not going to give people advice on shit that I don't know anything about.
Well, this is the thing. And you know, because you can pass on that advice, the life experience as well, rather than somebody sat at the other side of the table who has zero experience of being a married man, being like that mentally, physically, and everything else. You know, you are going to get guys who are married listening to you more because you go through your experiences.
The three words that work for me and that have worked for me is just this: I get it. Because guys know when I'm telling them that I actually do get it. I'm like, I get it, here's what I did. I get it, here's what I do. I get it, here's how we handle that. Something that I want to touch on that you said there was you can't do it on your own, but also people have got to understand that no one's going to do it for you either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, people don't get this, like, Paul, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? I mean, yeah, I can, but I'm not going to fucking do it for you.
No, you're not there every day with them holding their hand.
No, I'm not going to do it for them. And I think that a lot of people don't realise that. I get a lot of comments on my videos, which is like, oh, I've reached out for help and no one's going to help me. And I'm like, listen, I get it. Ultimately, though, no one's going to do the fucking work for you. And it's work that's going to it's work that's going to make the change for you. It's work that's going to make it happen. I think I did a video yesterday on my Facebook where I said, listen, nothing's going to change for you. Everything changes through you, through your actions. And a lot of people don't really get that. But I also think if it boils down to it, I think people know what to do.
Yeah.
I think people know what to do to get better, to feel better, to start making changes. They just, and this is going to sound harsh and this is going to be quite out there and it's going to be quite controversial. People are just not willing to do it.
Do you know, I kind of back you up, and I actually don't think it's controversial because, do you know, the scenario of my wife Eve, who doesn't tell me but advises me on certain things. Yeah. But naturally, I think sometimes you're like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take that advice. Yeah. You know, I need to find my... And you know it's right. Yeah. You know, she'll mention it, you know, something a couple of times. Somebody else will come along. Yeah. Paul Mort might walk in a room and go... and then Eve will go, hang on a minute. Yeah. I've been telling them this for years.
Yeah.
And then
I just said the word fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
I just added a fuck into the mix.
I think, like, what I think a lot of people get wrong is, and I think you might agree, is a lot of people might want to jump in and think, okay, nothing's changed on a whole, and this might be your approach, and more what I wanted to ask as well, is do you think it's not about reaching the long goal quick? Do you think it's more about the short little steps in between?
Think about the decisions that people make where they've ended up where they are, right? It's because of split decisions. So people drink because it's easy, it's convenient, you can do it. It changes the way you feel really fast. Do you know what I mean? It changes the way you feel really fast. So we'll talk about this at some point, I'm sure, about boozing. So it's about, you think about this, and I said this morning as well, actually. Your life right now is just a result of all of the decisions that you've made put together.
Good.
So you can't expect an instant change. There's no magic bullet, and it's almost like it's your habits that you've got to change, and your habits are things that you really do every day.
Yeah.
And they're called habits because it's just an action that you've taken so many times that it's easy. Drinking's easy.
Yeah.
I was saying to someone yesterday, I'm like, think about this. If you have no reason not to drink, why wouldn't you? It's fun as fuck.
Yeah.
It makes you feel mint.
Yep.
To start with, right? So why wouldn't you? We just have a lot of reasons not to drink. So I think I had 2 drinks. I drank for 2 weeks in a row for the first time in 5 years during lockdown. May the 1st, May the 8th. I haven't drank since. And I just had a couple of gins, but I felt like shit.
Yeah.
But I realized that why I drank was because I had no reason not to. Wasn't working that hard because there wasn't much going on then, right at the start. I wasn't training jiu-jitsu, so I was like, well, it doesn't matter. And this is the big one that me and my wife figured out. She doesn't drink. She's not really a drinker either. She was the same as me, drank for 2 weeks in a row, hadn't done that for like 5 years. And we figured out that it was just because we didn't have anything else to look forward to. So on a Friday, after we'd actually done some work, on a Friday, normally before lockdown would be like, pick the kids up from school, maybe go swimming. Pick the kids up from school, maybe go to the cinema. Pick the kids up from school, maybe go to the Metro Centre, climbing or something. We'd always have an activity on a Friday, right? We used to call it Mort Family Friday. Yeah. Suddenly that was gone. And it took me 2 weeks to realise that actually I get it now. Even now, this Friday we might not have something exciting planned, but Saturday morning I'll be sparring. Yeah. So I'm like, I'd rather spar than drink. You know what I mean? And I'm not turning up for sparring and whatever because I get me all into it.
Give and take the drink, isn't it? Like you're sacrificing essentially your energy and your happiness essentially from the day. So you're just taking from the day after.
I honestly think that's a great point, and that's the way I look at it. So I might not have anything physically on the following day.
Yes.
And that was where the mindset had to change, because I'd be like, right, if I've got something on the following day, then I can't drink.
Yes.
But if I haven't, like you just said,
you don't want to be like that all the time.
I'm straight in it.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, you know, my reason not to drink is kind of looking at the consequences the following day or during the night.
I think this has changed as you got older.
That. Yes.
I think this has changed as you got older. Yeah. I've got a friend, James. He's a he'll possibly listen actually, and he lives in Australia now. He's doing great. He's got a book deal. He's blown up right now, right?
Yeah.
And excuse me, he said he was telling on the other guys about in my podcast last week. He said as soon as he hit 30, his hangover started lasting like 2 and 3 days. Yeah, it's mad, innit? I remember when I was a kid, 18, 19, I used to go out at 4 o'clock in the morning,
crazy.
and then get up and play a game at 11 aside at 10:30 and be mint.
Yeah.
And then it started changing for me. Yeah, and I'm not. People think I always criticize people that drink. I'm not teetotal, and I'm not criticizing people that drink. However, you guys listening know when it's not working for you anymore.
See,
You know when it's not working for you, right?
I was really conscious. I mean, mine was, like I said, my decision to quit alcohol was either I lose everything or I try and keep it.
Yes.
You know, and I remember going to Hamsley Forest I took my mountain bike up there. I'd had a drink the night before, the usual disastrous and everything else, and I listened to this audio book. And I was always conscious because I had a friend many years ago who's no longer with us, and he stopped drinking, but he never really talked much about not drinking.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, I don't want to shove it in people's
Yeah.
faces because I drink every night now. I just drink non-alcoholic beers,
Yeah.
so I've become this boring bastard, like, you know, trying all these different.
Yeah.
But like, I certainly don't go out there and preach and say you should pack in smoking,
Yeah.
you should pack in drinking,
Yes.
because it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
My problem was I didn't know when to call it a day.
Yeah, I'm the
you know,
same.
some people, some guys
people
and
can
some
have, like, a
women have
pint.
control.
I'll have a
Happy
pint.
days.
Do you want to come for a pint? I'm like, 1 pint?
Yeah, and I've never. It was always like, I remember.
You're either on it or you're
like
not.
even when I live with my parents, they'd be like, "Well, just go out and have one drink." I'm like, "Well, that's an absolute waste of time."
That doesn't even taste nice.
Yeah, exactly. So I have one drink. So
Yeah.
it's not. Listen, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But I would say for the guys who, you know, there have been consequences,
Yeah.
then
I
seriously
think you know when
consider.
it's not. I think you reach a point in your life where you know it's not working for you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, sometimes I think the biggest challenge that people have is they think they can just stop. You can't just stop. I'm
Yeah.
like, you have to have a big reason not to do it, but also you have to replace it with something else. Like, you've replaced it with that non-alcoholic beer. So you still get,
Yeah.
it just means, for me, I'm like, you value relaxation. You value switching off a little bit, and you've replaced it with non-alcoholic beer. Me, I probably haven't replaced the liquid.
Yeah.
I've just found a bigger reason not to drink. So I'll have something to look forward to when I would normally drink. It's always on a Friday. It's never on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't even think about it. And do you know, I also think, because I noticed the other day when I was traveling with Mac, our producer on
Yeah.
the podcast, and I was saying I've been talking about drinking quite a lot recently. And I think sometimes when you put your attention on it, it makes you think about it a little bit more. So if I constantly went on about not drinking and not drinking and not drinking and that wouldn't, I'd have my attention on it, and then it's kind of like going into a titty bar and not looking at the tits. I'm
Yeah.
going to look at the tits. So I kind of try not to even put any attention on drinking at all.
Do you know? I think as well from what I found because I loved alcohol and there's nobody drank as much as me on it when it came to a weekend.
Yeah.
And the guys when I was going to football, like at first, and they might listen to this afterwards, but it was like, what do you mean you're not drinking? Well, what are you gonna? And it's almost there, like, oh, hang on a minute, we don't know what to do with you anymore
Yes.
because you're not joining in with
Yes.
a fest.
Yes.
And it's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But then you know,
I'm all right now. The beer right now. My night's over.
absolutely. So now the line in the
Sometimes,
non-alcoholic
like,
beers up.
You're having a pint.
Exactly. So literally, I'm
Yeah.
always late for everything.
Yeah.
I turn up and there's a couple of non-alcoholic beers on there, and they're
Really?
cool with it.
Oh,
but
that's cool.
also, I've sport to like, you know, again, I don't hammer it on social media. But like making recommendations, I must get contacted every day. What do you recommend? You know, but
that was in my head as the next
it just,
question.
do you know, and I suppose, you know, you come across a lot of different guys, and it's not just all about alcohol. That's just, you know, because we're here to talk obviously about mental health
You've
as
got to
well.
think about the trigger that.
It is,
There's
you
a
know, and
trigger that makes you wanna booze.
it might be alcohol, it might be sex addiction, it might
Yeah.
be drugs,
Junk
it
food.
might be junk food.
Even wanking off.
Exactly.
I'm not even kidding. Yeah, there's a
do you
trigger
know,
for all that.
Do you know? I'll talk about this.
Should
We-
see his face, by the way.
Hey,
when I talk about
I
wanking
tell you,
off.
I'm smiling, so I'm gonna tell you the story, and something that did help us, and I'm not just saying this because Paul's right in front of us
Yeah.
right now. When I was possibly at my lowest point, and Eva was ready to kick us out,
Yeah.
and bear in mind, I'd fell over, smashed my head, nearly killed myself, staples in my head, and that didn't stop us. And she shared your video, and
Really?
I'm gonna be. I'll try not to get emotional here, but it
I
kind of
might.
like. And I watched it, and I
this
watched it
the-
again.
the
This is
video?
this is
Clip
the
video,
video,
yeah.
and if
The
you and if you
video.
haven't seen it, I recommend, and I'm not promoting Paul's video in any way or his business, but
probably seen it
I
already.
am.
Whoever's listening's probably already seen it.
But exactly, but you must watch it because I'm telling you, if I would suggest a lot of the guys that do watch that, we're all the same. We are. We're not as complex, and this is not you know a go at women, but we're not. We're fairly daft, us men.
Yeah.
And I watched this, and I was like, Jesus. It's like me. It's like me
That's
on
all
the
I
cliff.
get all the time.
Me.
Yeah.
I'm like that's my life.
Yeah.
but when somebody's telling you, you know, going back to, you know, the guys who you're working with, being married and everything else, that's how it's relatable.
And you don't get it
straight away.
I think the reason that video blew up, I actually on Sunday I sent in a message to the guy that made the video. I've never spoken to him for a couple of years, not because he's not my mate or anything, just paths haven't crossed. And I said, mate, I need to tell you how much I appreciate that amazing job you did in the video. I did all the talking. He said that to me. He said, you did all the talking. It wasn't scripted. And I said, but that video has changed my life.
I think.
And it's impacted millions of people now.
Yeah, I mean, to speak about that video, I think everyone in your career, whatever you've done, is known for something.
Yeah.
And there'll be one thing that blows up in all the things you've done across your career. You've had a long career.
Yeah.
And I mean, does it not get frustrating? But like, I know that video, I mean, when was it, 2017?
I put it out 20.
And I mean, it's got 5.7 million views, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, is it, you are well known for that video, but I think it's really good that you've bounced off the back of that and just continued with that drive.
Well, it's
up till now.
that's what I mean by kind of stumbled into what I'm doing. Loads of people asked me how I did it, and they saw that video, and then I was like, fuck, people keep asking me for help. And then I started trying to do it because I already had another business then. I was in I have a marketing company as well. I actually shut that down this week, but this I had this marketing business. Everyone kept asking me, and I kept trying to do it for free. And I was like, you know what? People are like, can you coach me? And I get a bit of criticism for that. Now I'm like, well, I can't. These are people I'm trying to have for free. They're not doing fucking anything with the free advice.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
So, and then I started to get frustrated. I'm like, mate, I fucking told you what to do and you're not doing it. And then we started this coaching thing, and then suddenly people start getting incredible results. And I think it's because, and listen, I still do a lot of free shit.
Yeah.
I speak at gigs all the time. I do Q&As in all these mental health groups. I do, my podcast's fucking free. Not for me, it's cost me a fucking fortune in time and money. I'm speaking at events for free. I'm doing all these free videos, sending all this free stuff, but I have this paid program. And I think it's because it works, not just because the content's world class, not just because I'm a good coach, but because people have got skin in the game. Like, when you make an investment, you want to return on your investment.
Yeah.
So they're more likely to do the work.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like a book, right? This is the comparison I made. If I paid a $5 for a book, I might read it. If I paid $5,000 for a book, you fucking damn right, I'm reciting that shit.
Yeah.
I think when people say, like, you say you're doing it for free, but it's like, not only are you getting gain out of that because you're getting more people towards you, but what you're putting out is really engaging and helping other people as well. So
do you know something? Do you know something? This is weird. When I'm doing most of my videos, we've started to get a little bit more pro on the videos now, a little bit better, particularly on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing those jump cut videos and that. We've got a one drop in a day.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing those the lives, and my Facebook lives blow up, I get about at least 4,000 views every video, and I'm essentially talking to myself. So whenever I come up with content, I'm always saying, you think about this, you're all talking, like, literally talking to myself. It just happens to resonate with other people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm always telling a personal story when I'm attached. When I'm delivering content, whatever I'm doing, I'm telling a personal story, and that's what relates to people. Yeah. Not just me preaching.
I think this is. I mean, well, I don't think I know. We were just having this conversation last night when we were talking about the format of videos and how we were shooting it and everything else, and there's a lot of similarities here in every business because you have to be real. When I do videos, I switch the camera on. It's not planned, and I'm just I think like your customers and viewers just relate. We don't. You know, you're not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But the ones we are, like, buy into
if everyone
massively.
Like me, I'd be a boring cunt.
Well, exactly.
It'd be boring for me.
Do you know what? Like, I keep saying this. Personally, Master Debonair aren't for everybody. Yeah. But that's okay. That's not a problem. But when I speak, it's me. Yeah. You're not getting some scripted whatever. Yes. You're getting my northeast dulcet tones, probably rattling on and going off at a tangent. Yeah. But like that, you know.
And that makes it, though, like, in marketing, there's a buzzword called authenticity and be authentic, and that, I'm like, that should be effortless.
It absolutely.
You shouldn't have to make an effort to be authentic.
I think it's such a powerful thing, video, and sometimes it gets quite overlooked. Yes. But like, essentially, it's quite hard to do, and you probably are well used to doing that now. Yeah. But when you're looking at that camera that you're speaking to, right, you'll know. Imagine the thousands of people that you're speaking to, like that camera.
Well, when I'm doing it, I usually just imagine one, you know.
Yeah, like
that's how I got I'd like to think I'm good at it. That's how I got good at it, because I'm essentially just talking to one person. And here's what's crazy. It's just me a few years ago.
Well,
I'm talking to myself a few years ago.
Yeah.
Do you know
Isn't
what?
that mad, that?
I think, you know, it's a good point, because before I set this up, I worked in sales.
Yeah.
And I ended up pitching to 1 person, 2 person, 10 people, 20 people. I think the one pitch I went to, and there was a bunch of students as well as lecturers and everything else at a college. And I think once you start to think about your audience, that, you know, you're in front. I don't think there's too many people like to just get up and start speaking in a room full of people.
Yeah.
But when you've done it that many times and you're authentic and you know your shit as well, it becomes very easy. And just to visualize what you're speaking to yourself rather than thousands of people.
Well, I said on a podcast last week, it's easier to speak to thousands of people because there's usually loads of lights and you can't even fucking see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like not looking in someone's eye directly. So
normally I'll practice in front of my team, so there'll be 2 or 3 people in front of me, so I'll practice in front of them, and that's harder than delivering in 1,000 people. But I think also when it comes to speaking like that in a room full of people, sometimes you've just got to value being the center of attention.
Yeah.
Some people don't like that. I love being the center of attention, which is why I chose this fucking suit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, some people just don't value that. It's not them. Like, my wife would fucking hate that.
Yeah.
She'd be like, no, I'm wearing black. I'll be wearing black. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want to stand out. My son's the same, but my daughter's exactly like me. If she was here now, I wouldn't be able to say anything.
Can I ask you a question? Because over the years when I was working in sales, I definitely had a persona.
Yeah.
So I used to switch that on when I was in front of customers and potential customers. Now, I'm not saying I have a persona at Master Debonair. I am who I am. Mm-hmm. Do you think you've got a persona when you're at work and when you're speaking to people? No. Which is what I hope you were going to say. No. It's just Paul Mort. No, it doesn't matter
he
whether
hasn't
you're
changed
home.
from when he walked in.
No, energy level's the same.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've done that, what you've done.
Yeah.
And I ended up with a business that I didn't like. And I ended up with people that I had to walk on eggshells around because I didn't say fuck publicly.
Yeah.
But when you came into my office, I'd be effing and blinded.
Well, that sounds like my corporate career, where it was literally you were going in the office, the smile was on the face, you're going in, whatever, and then you come out and like you're so low.
I couldn't get work in the corporate space, and I'm okay with that.
Well, now it's kind of like you get what you get. Yeah. It kind of and to be yourself in your personal life, in your business life.
It's easy. It's easy. That's why I can come up with so many videos. Yeah. People are like, how would you come up with all your content? I'm like, well, it's not a problem because I'm not trying to be something I'm not, because I've done that before and it's fucking exhausting. Yeah. It's like, for me, it's lying. And lying, that's who I was in 2014. And I'd lie so much that I forget what I lied about. Do you know what I mean? I'd be lying to my wife, I'd be lying to my kids, I'd be doing all this lying. And it was real tiring for me. And
the anger, I would imagine. Yeah, there's probably that internal
guilt,
anger.
There's the guilt. And I remember my video guy that we were talking about before, when he first came in, he followed me online for ages. He said, well, which one of these Paul Morts is you? Because I've seen all the sides. It's all of them.
Yeah.
He said, which one? He said, I've seen calm Paul Mort, I've seen angry Paul Mort, I've seen funny Paul Mort, I've seen this. I'm fucking all of them, mate. And then he followed me around he used to come to my house for 2 days every month, and we used to make loads of videos. And he's like, actually, you're all.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Like, just to talk about your energy levels. Yeah. You're a very vibrant, very characterful person. Yeah. That comes across like as soon as you walked in the building. What's your secret for that? I mean, I know you talk about you spend a lot of time with your mental health, and obviously you speak to a lot of people, and that's required. Yeah. I'd just like to talk about, I know you're big into your exercise, your training. So, like, how do you keep your energy levels so high? Because it's easy to see in your videos that they are really high and consistently
I just want to
high.
say that I'm not just blowing smoke up Paul's ass. He looks as good as I've seen him in a number of years.
I'm in the shape of my life right now. Yeah.
You are. I mean, you're carrying this suit off, like really. But you can see the health.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. And my secret is that I actually wrote a post about this on this morning. I think that you gotta. When I started treating myself like someone that I loved, when I started treating myself like that, my life fucking transformed. Because for me, there's nothing more important than how you feel. That's why people drink. That's why people do drugs. That's why people smoke, because it makes them feel a little bit better. There's just the long-term payoff of that is, well, there's more long-term drawbacks than payoffs. So for me, once I started doing that, I felt better, and then I started making better decisions. And now I think sooner or later, whether you like it or not, self-care will become your number one priority.
Yeah. I think people are the problem is a lot of people are investing in cars and this and that and facilitating all these desires.
Yes.
But you'll probably agree, the number one thing that people are starting to invest is themselves
right now. Yeah.
And that's in like you've done loads of boot camps and you talk about a lot about mental health and obviously you do the free stuff, but obviously you do paid coaching as well. And I think you will agree as well. It's the best investment you can make.
Oh, dude,
and you've
100%.
seen the difference in people.
100%. And I think that this, what helps me with the energy is a couple of things. I do what I fucking love for a living. I don't think you have to. I think there's a big, you have to do, if you do what you love, you'll never work in a day in your life. I'm like, listen, sometimes you just got to love the benefits that you get from having a fucking job.
Yeah.
You can't always do what you love. Sorry, you can't always do what you love, but you can find a way to love what you do. Yeah. Sometimes I have to do shit I don't want. I hate traveling, but I find a way to love it. So when I'm traveling, I'll do coaching calls or sales calls while I'm driving because I hate driving. So I find a way to love it. But I also think that I have this commitment. I can't remember when I made this, but I think it's from people saying nice things to me because I think in today's day and age, it's easy to talk shit.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be a fucking warrior.
Yeah.
And it's easy to bitch about people. Sometimes I still get caught up in that. Sometimes I still talk shit about someone and then realise I'm talking shit. But when someone says something nice to me, it makes me feel good. And I'm like, you know what? I want other people to feel like that. So I have this thing where, listen, every time we have an interaction with somebody, you leave an imprint on that memory, however small it is.
Yeah.
So if I bought a bottle of water from Sainsbury's, she might remember me, she might not, but I want that imprint of me. It's like a carbon footprint, right? I want that imprint that I leave on her. That little memory she has of me is like, oh, that guy my kids go crazy. Dad, why are you always telling people to have a nice day? Have a great day. I was like, because the person before might have been a prick.
Yeah.
They might have been having a bad day and they've dumped it on them. So I'm like, if I can have imagine if you just made this little commitment. Do you know what? Everyone that I come into contact with today, I'm going to have a positive impact on them. I'm going to make them feel good. And that, because the thing is, and this is doing it right now, can you feel that? Can you feel that in your body right now about what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can
you feel that rising up in your body? Like that makes me feel good. I've got goosebumps now. That makes me feel good, making somebody else feel good.
Yeah. I think as well because like we all get bad days. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. And I feel as though I certainly have like more good days than I have bad. Yeah. And even with the pressures of business,
challenging days,
what's going on in the world right now?
Yeah.
But I tell you what, there's nothing better. I will stop in the street if somebody gives eye contact and I think they want to speak to us because you don't know what day they're having either. And sometimes it helps them and it helps you. I'm certainly not saying, go around and like shake everybody's hand at the minute and everything else. But doesn't it feel bloody good?
I think
you've got.
I think especially now, it's so important to take that time for
people. Of course it is. It's not even that much time. It's just like,
it's not.
Sometimes it's a few words. Do you know what? I hope you have a great day. Have a great fucking weekend.
Exactly. Because you're right, the person before, and the person after that's coming through that door, they might be having a bad day and then they pass that energy across.
Think about just a word, right? I'll say something like, I get something I say amazing. I can't even believe the words come out of my mouth, but that little word could have such an impact on that person. So I just have this thing where I'm like, if I'm on that, it feels like a mission. It sounds cheesy, and I feel like I should be speaking in an American accent, right? But it feels like a mission for me because nobody else is. Like, I've got that energy, so why the fuck would I not want anyone else to feel it too?
I know you're talking about your energy levels and saying it's a lot to do with your exercise. Yeah. Does that translate into your diet and like what kind of nutrients and stuff you're doing?
It's a funny old thing, because I don't buy into this clean eating thing. So all I do, and I dropped 7 kilos in lockdown, right? All I did was, in my phone, I have this app called MyFitnessPal, and I just put all my food in there. Every day I hit 15,000 steps. That's easy. Walking's productive as fuck for me. I do loads of videos, loads of calls. I listen to an audiobook. I listen to a podcast. But I think the key for me is, and Simon will back me up on this, you have to find a type of exercise that you love. Like, I love fighting. I fucking love fighting. Yeah. So it was boxing for me. Boxing saved my life in 2015 because that's essentially what replaced cocaine. Like, mate, I'm talking cocaine. I'm not talking just getting boozed up with the boys and having a few keys on a night out, right? I'm talking right before I'm about to jump on a call, having a fucking massive fucking snooter. Yeah. Like a massive snooter, massive line, right before I jump on a call because it made me feel good. That's all. And that's all I do now. I do things that make me feel good. I mean, what's more important than that? I just do things that don't have the long-term drawback.
It's also, I found over the years, and I speak personally, like you find reasons that you can't find something that you love, and I started walking
Because it's
again.
not convenient.
I think
Usually.
walking,
Dude, it's amazing.
It's like if you don't want to go to the gym, I get that, because not everybody's into the gym, not everybody's into running, not everybody's into cycling.
I'm not
But
into any of those things that you just mentioned. Yeah.
Walking was like, oh my God, what a revelation that was, because it was either listen to nothing, listen to podcasts, listen to music, and actually like
Get on a
see
call,
what's around you.
Speak to some people.
Do you know, and the ideas, you know, even when I'm cycling, like I'll go out and just getting back into cycling again. The amount of times that I have to stop because I think of something. Now, what I'm having to teach myself is not to do that, because
Can you do like a Siri record this?
It's ridiculous.
You could probably do a Siri record this.
Exactly. But what I'm trying to do is not do that.
Yeah.
Because I will make numerous phone calls on my bike, and people can't hear me because of the wind and everything. But I'm like, that's my time.
Yes.
That's that 2-3 hours that I need to myself, rather than thinking about business or anything
And you
else.
never have to drag yourself on the bike. I think that's important, because I think a lot of people's misconception with getting in shape and taking care of yourself is that you need willpower, you need motivation. I mean, if I need motivation to go to the gym, that is telling me that I don't like going to the gym.
Yeah.
So I'm going to the gym to try and make myself feel good, but I don't like going to the gym. That's a fucking paradox. I hate going to the gym, so I'm going to force myself to go to the gym. And here's the worst part. If I don't go to the gym, I'm going to beat myself up about it. It's fucking backwards, right?
But
it just means I don't really value going to the gym much, but I love fighting. So here's the words that I use, right? And this is important for you to pay attention to this, you guys listening. If ever I use the words, I have to, I need to, or I really should, that means I don't like the thing that I have to do, and I feel obliged to do it, which means I'm losing before I've even started. And sometimes we have to do things that we don't really want to do. But if that's a gym thing, which exercise is so important, if you keep having to say that, it means you don't value it. So find something. If I get to train jiu-jitsu, I've just said the word, I get to, I want to, I can't wait to.
Yeah.
That's how you win.
You've got to look at it. I think this is great, because again, it's a mindset change. It was a mindset change for me quitting alcohol.
Yeah.
The mindset change has to be with exercise, and I've never dieted.
Yeah.
You know, because I think once you get into that diet, you've put it in a box.
Well, it's
and
a box of usually it's based on like misconceptions about you have to restrict this, you have to cut that out, you have to restrict this. And if you want to lose weight, literally the only proven way to lose weight is by burning more calories than you eat.
I've had this conversation yesterday, and like there's so many diet fads, and you shouldn't have this and you shouldn't have that, and like you'll know as well as like loads
all of
other
them
people, but that is literally the formula. If you want to,
so any of those diets, they only work because you're in a calorie deficit.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you're healthier. It just means you're going to lose weight.
But for me, it's like you've got to be thinking the end goal.
Yeah.
And like here's the thing. This is just my opinion. Yeah. And I've been up and down weight for many years. Yeah. You know, I was probably a stone lighter than this 3 years ago, no body fat hardly. Yeah. But then the other extreme, you know, a year and a half ago, a stone and a half heavier. Yeah. But for me, it's not about my weight. It's how I'm going to feel at the end of it. Yeah. And compared to feeling quite lethargic, do you know what? So I'm not thinking about the training and diet. I'm thinking I want to be there because I know how good feels. Yeah. Not like, I've got to go to the gym because
I'll tell you what feels good: rocking a pair of fucking budgie smugglers on holiday.
Well, I've seen that photograph
dude,
as well.
Honestly,
you need to have a search on that, but possibly not on work laptops or anything like that. Just Paul Mort budgie smugglers, and I'm
honestly, dude. Honestly, they're making a comeback. Them budgie smugglers. You'll be selling them in here soon.
That's outfit and self-confidence at its very best.
Dude,
or not fitting.
Funny enough, I've had so many comments on it. I'm like, dude, listen, the great thing is I wouldn't have worn those when I was out of shape. So when I'm wearing them, I'm like, listen, I feel confident as fuck.
Damn right.
And for a man, I think the two most important assets a man has are his confidence and his energy. Yeah. If you got those two things, you can fucking take over the world. I'm not even kidding. Like when you have confidence and energy, those two put together, fuck me. Like, what else do you need? Your marriage is better. Your relationships with your kids are better. Your business is better. When you're confident as a leader, right? I have the opinion, and I have a team, and I'm leading a couple of 100 guys who I'm coaching. And I think my number one responsibility as a leader is energy. Because people feed off that. Yeah. People buy into that. I mean, imagine me showing up for things with shit energy. Do you know what I mean? And that's just up to me to manage. Like, that's just a management thing. I think, I remember reading this book years ago called The Power of Full Engagement. I read it in fucking 1999 or something, right? And this side of thing in it, which is most people don't have a time management problem, have an energy management problem.
Yeah, definitely.
When my energy's on point, I
Yeah.
get my productivity's true, everything's just better. But it's my job to manage that, nobody else's. Nobody else can manage my energy for me. So that's why when I'm on a weekend, in fact, a great question you ask yourself on a weekend is, how do I want to feel next week? What have I got on next week? What have I got on next week? How do I want to feel when I'm doing that? So I'll still get tempted to drink. I'm still like, you know what? I've had a challenging week this week.
Yeah.
I've gone hard at work. I've trained really hard. Do you know what? I might have a drink on Friday. And then I'll be like, how do I want to feel tomorrow? How do I want to feel next week? And then I'll find something else to do.
It is.
Usually Friday night's my favourite night for sparring as well, by the way.
Do you know, I used to get to like a Monday and Tuesday, and it would take us that recovery, and then I'm into the Friday and everything else. But it does impact on everything.
The biggest thing is people forget what it's like to feel good.
Yeah.
People that have been on that cycle of drinking every Friday, maybe drinking every Saturday, that's just the norm for them now. They don't know how to get off it. I think you need like 2 or 3 weeks not boozed up. And then you start to feel better, and you're like, wow, I feel fucking great. And then you kind of don't want to lose that.
So does it not like leave your system straight away, like for people listening? So you're saying like you don't feel the immediate effects of you're not going to feel it straight away. It has to detox out your body.
I don't even know if it's that. I think it's just like you don't find any. You're like, people don't know how else to. I don't want to use the word switch off. They don't know how else to relax. They don't know how else to unwind. That's just a go-to thing. And why? It makes you relax. It's easy. It's convenient, and it's cheap.
So your way of relaxing now would be
Fighting.
training.
Yes.
And your way of relaxing would be the bike. And I guess
absolutely.
It's finding that way to switch off, no matter what it is. Like you're a busy guy, you're a busy guy.
That's such a great question, the switch off thing. That's why I mention it, because I think that anyone that's in a role like ours, running a business, you'll be the same. We have a creative intellect. Switching off isn't really a thing, right? I don't think we really switch off. I don't think we can go home. If we could switch off, we'd be in a different career, right? And I think we just switch on to something else. Does that make sense? I think even when we're sleeping, there's no switching off.
I had this conversation with Eve a couple of months ago where I realised that my switching off was probably very different to a lot of people's switching off. So,
it is.
So my switching off isn't, you know, I might sit on the couch. You know, we never had a TV for like months because Rosie, our little dog's killed 2 TVs. So it has been nice.
A little dog.
Are
you sure it's little?
Little dog Rottweiler. Well, she's the littlest Rottweiler out of the 4 of them.
Right.
But I was like, I've realised that my switching off isn't like
It's
switching
switching on
off
to something else.
It's switching on.
Yeah.
So it is right. Okay, I'll get up at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I'll do all the washing. I'll do all the dishes.
Yeah.
I'm in the garden. I'm tidying up and whatever. That's my switching off, which is switching on.
And
then on Sunday and it's out.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like for the first time in the last couple of months, I thought that's okay.
Yeah.
Where that is almost been like not the final piece of the jigsaw because there's always continuous learning and self-development. But I was like, that's what it is, and it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay to be switching off, which is switching off.
My wife says, "Why are you training?" Like, I weight train quite a bit over lockdown, kettlebells and push-ups and that. But then I haven't for ages. She's like, "Why aren't you doing that?" I said, "Well, jiu-jitsu feels like one of the only times where I'm fully present because I can't be thinking about what I've got to do tomorrow because I get fucking strangled. I can't be thinking about what went down in the morning or how I'm going to reply to that email because I'll get my arm snapped off." Or I get put to sleep. Like jiu-jitsu, I have to be. It's kind of like I would call it violent meditation.
Yeah,
I can't be anywhere else, and that's my switch off, if you like. I've just got to slow down sometimes. And remember that I'm 40. Yesterday I was really tired actually, and it's because I did 8 5-minute rounds on Saturday, 8 on Sunday, and then the lads are even like, Paul, let's not do any more rounds because I'm 18.
Yeah.
I'm 18. I'll be able to train tomorrow, but I know that you've got a full day of work tomorrow, so let's not do any more. Because once I get into it. It's like when I'm boozing. Like once I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm either in the house or out.
Yeah.
So jiu-jitsu is the same. Once I get into it, I'm like, let's just fucking keep going.
Do you know, like
I
with
think it's an
jiu-jitsu,
addictive personality thing.
And I've never fought before, but I can imagine. I know, like, I'd gone back to personal training last week, and I got on the rowing machine, and I'd gone in, and I was already thinking about something, and I'd gone way too quick on the rowing machine. And I'm like, right, hang on a minute, just stop. But when you're fighting, you're straight into it. And like you say, if all of a sudden you're thinking about something else, you're out.
Especially in jiu-jitsu. But boxing you could get away with it a little bit because there's only so many things you can do. But jiu-jitsu has so many millions of different combinations.
Yeah.
It's
How did you get?
meditation.
So you mentioned boxing. You
Oh,
mentioned
yeah,
jiu-jitsu.
so-
Just tell us, like, is this something that you've been into for so long,
No.
or is this a
I started jiu-jitsu 2 years ago.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I started boxing 4 years ago, and I started boxing because you have to consider that before I was a personal trainer until 2010, 2011 maybe, and then I coached personal trainers in the business.
Yeah.
So I know some of the best personal trainers in the world. They wrote me programs, I just didn't do them. Because, and I figured out now, it's because I didn't like the type of training, and I was on my own. And I'm a social fucking being. The problem was when I was in MRB, I'd isolate myself completely.
Yeah.
Because I had a terrible relationship with myself. I was one of those guys that, I hate people. The reality was I was the common denominator amongst all these people, right? I fell out with people. I basically, I didn't speak to my mum for about 6 months. I lost loads of friends in that I've repaired those relationships now. But and then I remember my friend, it's called Stevie, and he said, listen, I'll take you on the pads. And I was like, anyway, I ended up hitting the pads. I was like, actually, this is all right, this. I was with someone, and then he said, let's start sparring. I started sparring. I was like, fuck, this is for me. This is for me. I'll shit my pants.
Yeah.
But guess what? I got the same rush as I was getting. I'm pointing at the desk because that's what I was doing, lines of coke on my desk.
Yeah.
I got the same rush as I got off a line of coke. The same rush.
Yeah.
And then I just got addicted to that. And then my kids started jiu-jitsu and they're becoming little savages. So I've known Alex N, the jiu-jitsu coach. He was ex-Cage Warriors world champ. I've known him for a long time. He's like, mate, you need to stop boxing. You're too old for boxing. I'm not fucking too old. And he's like, you're getting punched in the head all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got a point. And then I started jiu-jitsu. And my wife liked me doing jiu-jitsu more than boxing. And then now I've got the fucking addiction. Yeah, I got my blue belt 2 weeks ago as well.
It seems to be like it's a sport that's definitely blowing up at the minute.
It's blowing up right now.
Like lots of good things coming from it. Core strength. You learn a lot of discipline as well.
And do the cardio. We got fit guys coming in the gym at the start. The cardio.
Stamina
We got to think about it. It's 5-minute rounds. You've got a man trying to crush you, strangle you, or break your arm. Or now I'm a blue belt. You got foot locks and ankle locks and everything, toe holds and knee bars and that. So you got so much to think about, and there's no opportunity to cheat. So in boxing, you can cheat a little bit. You can back off.
Yeah.
You can circle a ring. You can spit your gum
Hold
shield
on to
out.
the
You
guy.
can adjust your head
You know,
guard.
buy
There's
a few
just so many
seconds.
things where you can
Exactly.
get rest. Jiu-jitsu, there's no rest. No rest. So the cardio's phenomenal, and I think for me, I love football, and then when you get a certain age, football's no longer. My knees can't handle it. I get injured all the time, and I think football. There's two things you love about football: physical contact, the sport itself, and the crack.
Yeah.
With the lads, I get that every day now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I get the benefit of. So I get the cardio, I get the core strength, I get obviously the calorie burn, I get the banter, I get the violence, I get all of that. I get the switching off.
Yeah.
Or the switching on. I get the being present. All of that. From rolling around in fact, we haven't even been in the gym because it's been closed. So we're training in my fucking garage. Here's one for you. Last Friday, I'm training with two guys, Connor and Brashy. Right, we're in a garage wearing skin tight gear because when you're not in a gear, you wear like rash guards.
Yeah.
So we're in skin tight gear. We've done about 8 rounds. We're fucking sweating. Right, there's steam coming off it. My 7-year-old daughter sitting watching because it's normal now.
Yeah.
This fucking delivery driver and the garage door's wide open. Delivery driver comes to the door. He's like, I'll just leave this here. Honestly, imagine walking into that. You got
two
3
guys
men,
rolling around.
Two of them rolling around,
And
steam
a
coming
7-year-old.
off them, and a 7-year-old just watching, combing a Barbie doll's hair like it's nothing. Like she's just sitting there. And this guy's got two pizzas and a chicken kebab, and he's like, "Yeah, that's it's weird. We'll have strange men coming to my house every night, and they're not coming to see me wife.
They come for a roll
my
around.
That's just normal for her. She pops her head in the door just to see who's there." And then sometimes she'll go, sometimes she'll come in. I'll be having a fight and she'll be having a full-blown conversation.
Do you know, I think it's always good for the kids. I mean, our kids are teenagers and 20s, early 20s now.
Yeah.
To see that, and that's fine, and it's healthy.
I love them to see it. I love them seeing what I do. I love them. I try and get, whenever I speak, I'm like, me kids are coming. Went to Barcelona and spoke last year. I said, I want me, even if I drop an F-bomb, I'm like, do you know what? I want them to see what I do. My daughter loves it.
Yeah.
My daughter loves this whole thing. Like, she loves getting... Honestly, it's getting to that point now. It's a bit weird. I told my mum about it this morning. I went to Metro Centre last week with my son, and people are stopping and asking for selfies and that. It's mad. Dad, who was that? I'm like, I don't know. Why do you ask for a selfie with you?
It is.
Loves it.
It is. It's a funny thing, and like I'm quite. I don't know. I had this when we first opened the shop, and obviously living locally where we are, and
Yeah.
I'd kind of put my hat on. I
Yeah,
normally
yeah,
have my
yeah,
hat
yeah.
on to hide,
Yeah.
but it's the worst thing I can do.
Yeah.
And it's I'm not one for, and I don't mean to sound like this, like the limelight, because every time I see it, but I always remember like a couple of times where like I was in Manchester once,
Yeah.
and in the station in Manchester, and
Yeah.
I went to the bar and I ordered a drink, and they're like, "Oh, you're Master Debonair, aren't you?" And do you know what it is? Actually, it was that moment where, and it was a really lovely conversation.
Yeah.
Asking how the business started, and obviously went through that, and you know, people were really nice.
Yeah.
So when they do come up to us, and I've had that before, but it is
It's like I feel privileged and
it is. Do you know what? And if I can, I look at it in a way, and you certainly help.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people. We do as well, because we have so many stories. One guy in particular who came in here when we first opened, lost a load of weight, hadn't had a girlfriend or anything like that. All of a sudden, he came in here and he walked out with his chest out. The next thing we get a message: "I've got a girlfriend. My life's turned around. My confidence and everything."
It's
and
amazing.
you're like, and I get more out of that.
that's amazing.
Do you know? I do. I
Yeah.
love them stories.
Do you know? I was talking. There was a woman last week. What I love that when someone gives. Do you know what I love even more though? When the family members say, "You fucking saved me husband's life."
Oh,
And I remember speaking at an event with Simon Thomas off Sky Sports last year.
yeah.
And the guy that ran the event, his mum and dad came and said, "Listen, we've got our son back. Thank you." I was like, it wasn't
Wow.
me. I just gave him some tools and he happened
Yeah.
to use them. And then you get people's at Christmas, I got a Christmas card off 2 boys who sent us a message about their dad. And I was like, holy shit,
Wow.
man. That's where I start getting emotional.
Yeah.
And that's when, for me, that's my favorite. That's the shit that
Yeah.
fills my heart.
Yeah.
Somebody's personal transformation's amazing.
Yeah.
But that next level for me is when the family notice it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's different gravy.
I just think it's like, I always say it, and I've said this a lot to the team as well when we came back from lockdown.
Why would you not want to make someone else feel good?
I just, this
Do you know what I mean?
this
Like,
is
why-
what I've talked about.
It baffles me. I'm like, people trying to. I think what happens now, Simon, is people try and make
Yeah.
themselves feel better by making other people feel bad.
We
It doesn't fucking work.
Do you know, we've seen this for years, and before social media, and I don't want to sound old, but I am old, I'm 47. But like, I always remember, like, I don't know if it was the one in particular, I think it was the Sun, and it was with Graham Taylor, who was ex-England manager.
The Turnip one.
It was the Turnip one.
Yeah.
And I've always said, and at the time, obviously, it was in newspapers and the printed because there wasn't social media then. And I've always said this about us and Master Debonair, and there'd be people around like just willing you to fail. And I just think, why do? And you see it so much on social media. And we're
I
quite,
get someone telling me
well,
kill
we're
myself
quite
every day.
fortunate. We don't. But I was just going to say,
Yeah.
I bet you do, Paul.
Yeah,
I
every
bet there's
day.
so many
Every
people
day
out
someone
there.
tells me I should have jumped.
I think
I'm
when we're
o-
talking about
I'm
energy
okay
and
with
your
that.
energy level's so high,
Yeah.
like even for me,
Yeah.
I'm sort of perplexed by it. But like, I think other people see that and
Yeah.
they want that and
Yeah.
they don't know how
Yeah.
to channel that in a
Yeah.
in a positive way.
Yeah.
I mean,
And a lot of people, again, I just realised, I'm like, you know what, I'm okay with it because they're just trying to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
That's what I do, but I try and do it. I try and make myself feel better by impacting other people. They do it by trying to attack me. They don't know how else to do it.
yeah.
Do you know, I saw something, just, I mean, there's been a few things recently, but Aaron Chalmers.
Yeah.
And somebody had commented, he's been getting...
Aaron,
he's
I spar with Aaron all the time.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
you know, good lad, and obviously heavily covered in tattoos, and
Yeah.
we've all got our journeys with tattoos.
Yeah.
And somebody commented he'd been getting all his tattoos covered in all black, and I think he'd gone for a little bit of white.
Yeah.
And somebody said, "Well, why?" Well, but that's do you know, like criticism about
your
his
fucking
tattoos.
business.
It's him personally, and I think there's a lot of people on social, especially, where they just want to be on your case, rather than saying, "Do you know what it is? I understand it's you personally." You know, I'm not saying like big everybody up or anything like that.
Clearly they haven't smelled Aaron because Aaron's the nicest smelling guy. Always. Honestly, we'll do 10 rounds of sparring and still smell delightful. But he gave us the secret. All the lads are like, how do you smell like? He's told me I got the same aftershave.
on the topic of, well, bigging other people up,
Yeah.
you've got quite a large following yourself.
Yes.
And obviously you're on our podcast.
Yeah.
But you have your own
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah,
Do you just want to talk about that? And I know your interest in sport seems to have filtered through onto that. And there's been some big names and some lots gone on.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll link your podcast
Cool.
on here for sure because we're all about sharing things about. So you just want to talk about through your guests.
Yeah, so
your,
the podcast
style on it?
was a thing. During lockdown, we I'm not going to say fortunate because we worked really hard. Business went really well during lockdown because people needed what we've got. Said a lot of free stuff, obviously, and I did the paid stuff, and people were like, yeah, I need what you've got, Paul, to get through this and to help me through this. So business went really well, and we kind of had a formula where it was very clockwork and worked really well.
Yeah.
And my wife said to me, you're fucking bored, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I need a bit of chaos in my life. Like, I thrive on chaos. Like, my energy needs that. If it's boring, I'll start looking for problems anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She said, what do you need? My wife obviously knows me very well. She said, what do you need? I said, I'll tell you what I need. I said, I need to start a podcast and get a book deal. So we got the book deal done. We got the initial contract through last week. We'll get that done once we saw it. It's big. So the second biggest publisher in the world.
Wow.
It's a big old fucking deal. Audio exclusive as well. I don't even have to write it.
Fantastic.
Which is mint. Don't even have to write it. I just have to go to London and talk for 8 hours. It's like 8 hours, is that it? Is that all you've
We're
got?
never going to get it all in.
So anyway, and then I said, right, if I'm going to do the podcast, I'm going all in.
Yeah.
We actually hire somebody part-time to do half of Mac's job so he could do it. I was like, I'm going to do it properly, get a studio, all the kit. It's not going to be a Zoom call thing. I'm going to get who I can get on. So we start with Tyson Fury, and then obviously we've had people like Anthony Crawler on. We've had some Mike Winnett on. We've had a bunch of fighters on.
Yeah.
Because I was also like, I've got to remember, although I'm so used to serving my audience, that I was also like, do you know what? I call it Paul Mort shit because I want to talk to people I want to talk to. If you don't know who they are, it's tough shit. Like, I did one with my wife. Obviously, people don't really know who my wife is, and people loved it. We just talk about boozing on a holiday and why I never drink on holiday. People loved it. And then I'll get my kids on. People will love that as well. I've got to think about, like, and I started it basically because it's fun as fuck.
Yeah.
It's fun as fuck. Do you know what I mean? If I don't make anything off it, I don't make anything off it. But the feedback so far has been amazing. And obviously we're securing more and more guests, and it's a platform that allows me to express myself. It's a platform that allows people to hear more of my message and hear the message of the people that I'm not going to say lucky, but that I have access to, that I've created a life for myself where I have access to these people. I have access to Tyson Fury. I have access to Anthony Crawler. I have access to UFC fighters. I have access... Chris Ramsey, if you're listening, you're fucking coming on whether you like it or not. I have access to... Remember
It's
Martin,
been a while since he's been in here, so...
Is it? You remember Martin Waghorn that used to be his son, and I've got access to him. He lives he's got a house 2 doors down from me. So I've got access to all these... We'll get Ricky Hatton on. We've got James Haskell will come on. We've got all these people coming on. And a podcast allows me to... For people that want to hear these people's stories and have me ask them really uncomfortable questions. And like I say, the podcast's fun as fuck. Yeah, and I get sent free shit all the time.
I think it's great, like you're saying.
I love free shit.
Yeah, like, on your podcast, you were saying like a lot of them seem very similar and sort of like interview-esque and the same questions. And I liked how you were saying that you were asking Tyson Fury like off-the-cuff questions about like crazy things.
Yeah.
But that must...
They get asked the same questions all the time.
Of course they will.
Yeah. They get asked the same questions all the time. I did 33 podcast interviews in lockdown. It does get sometimes repetitive, but again, I'm also of like, listen, some people haven't heard this before.
I was just about to say, you know, what we shouldn't forget is just because you've said it once on another podcast, or on social media, that not everybody who would be interested and it would be helpful to hears that. So
because this is why I say yes to quite a lot of interviews, because it could be, even if they only have 100 listeners, that's 100 people who probably didn't know who I was.
But there might be one person. Do you know? I mean, at the end of the day, we've all got businesses to run and everything else, and there's a bit of promotion in there. But also, just going back to what you're saying, if you help that one person as well, you know, that wouldn't have been touched before. Yes. And you know what it is? I tell some little.
Who knows what's going to happen as a result of that?
Do you know? But like, it's that word of mouth as well. They might go and help somebody else. Yeah. Hey, if we're living in a better society for happy days, man.
You never know. But the podcast started because I was bored, essentially. And do you know the other reason? Is because on a Tuesday, we'll call it Tired Tuesday, right? This is the lowest my energy gets, right? Because on a Monday, I empty my tank. Like, all I do on a Monday is coach. Zoom. I'm on Zoom for like 7 hours straight. Spitting fire, giving people my energy. And then on Tuesday, I'm tired. So I really struggle to sit down on my laptop and create slides or write emails or reply to... I really struggle. So I did a podcast once on a Tuesday. I was like, you know what, Mac? Let's just do this every Tuesday.
I'm just telling everyone, I just had to look at my phone and check what day it was.
It's Tuesday.
Because this guy does not look tired right now.
We're doing a podcast on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
well,
I
that's
thought
what
I
I
was
mean.
tripping, and then I looked at my
And
phone.
the thing is, right, I'm of this opinion that we'll always find the energy for things that are really important. Do you know what I mean? We'll always find the right amount of energy, the right amount of time. We'll always find even the right amount of money and the right amount of focus for things that are really important. I talk about ADD quite a bit, right? I don't even think it's a thing. I think that people have selective ADD. If you put a kid with ADD on Fortnite, suddenly he hasn't got it anymore. My son, if you give him a book, actually, if you give him maths, he's like, he can't pay attention.
Yeah.
But if you give him a book to read, he's cool. Do you know what I mean? It's like, isn't that weird? But I think humans, we just have things that we value more than other things. Yeah. And the things that are our highest value, we'll always find energy for. So talking and impacting people like this, doesn't matter how fucking tired I am before, I'll find the energy when I'm doing it because I fucking love it. Same with jiu-jitsu. I never need a pre-workout. I don't even need a coffee before jiu-jitsu because I fucking value it highly. So my energy I'll always find the right amount of energy. Even time, I'll always find time to do that.
So it's really, in that, I never thought of it that way because this morning, and I was just saying, I never set the alarm because I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, like regardless. Yeah. And I set the alarm this morning to be, and I set it for 7:30. I never sleep that long. Yeah. And I got up and I felt quite lethargic and everything else. Yeah. And anyway, I trundled on down, late as ever. Yeah. And straight away, as soon as you walked in the room, but like just the point there, looking at Tuesdays when you're feeling a little bit lethargic, to have something that you know is going to get you up. Yes. I never thought of it that way. So I think, okay, so
that's an example though as well of sometimes you have to do shit we don't like. And I'll always struggle to find the energy to do shit that I don't like. So if I was on the right PowerPoint slides, I'd be like, it would take me all day to write 2 slides. Yeah. Like,
but it's finding that thing when you know, at that moment, and it might not be a Tuesday, it might just be spontaneous. Yeah. What have you got to fill that gap when you're feeling like a bit low?
Like
I know I'm going to feel great doing that.
You don't need motivation for.
Exactly.
I never need, people are like, you're so motivated. I'm like, I don't need motivation because I'm not doing shit I hate all the time. And that's a decision that anyone can make. If I'm constantly doing shit that I hate, I'm not going to create a life that I love. Sometimes I do have to do things that I don't like, but if I'm doing that all the time, it's not a recipe for fucking happiness, is it? Do you know what I mean? So I don't require motivation. I don't require willpower because I'm not doing shit that I hate.
Yeah. It's great that you sort of accepted responsibility and like took that into your own hands essentially because I think a lot of people
listen, if I get paid less money, I'm okay with that.
It's this and that and it's the money and this, but at the end of the day it's like your decision.
Listen, I get opportunities to travel all the time. I'm like, nah, I could get paid more money, but I'm like, do you know what? I'm all right with getting paid less because I hate traveling. I hate traveling. If you want to fly me somewhere, you have to fly my entire family.
Well, that was going to be a question that I was just about to ask you, was about the family side now. Now that, you know, you're much happier within yourself as well. Just like, I mean, I know...
My kids still think I'm grumpy. Yeah, well, they're so spoiled. It's unbelievable.
Well, my thing, I'm just off my face now because they're like, hang on a minute, he's happy all the time. You know, Eve always says to me, and always has done over the years, my wife, is if that you're happy, everyone's happy. And I think I'm such like again, I don't want to sing up my own arse, and it doesn't revolve around me. But it's right. If I'm happy, everybody else is. Now, in terms of the last couple of years, going from where your family life was to now, it must be a massive impact. How does it look day to day?
It's crazy. Well, I can't remember the first 2 years of my son's life. I was all over the place. Can't remember it. Can't remember much. Yeah. Particularly the time in Marbella, I can't remember much of it. I was pissed all the time. Yeah. Full of gear all the time. Can't remember much of it. But now, it's very different in terms of when I'm with them. I'm actually with them. And they also keep me highly accountable. If I'm on my phone, Dad, put your phone down. Yeah. Dad, put your phone down. Dad, give me your phone. Unless I'm doing like an Instagram with them or something where they're involved.
Do you find you say yes more than ever?
No.
Wow, really?
No.
Right, okay.
No. Do you know why?
Okay.
To the kids?
Yeah.
Because, here's why. This will blow your mind, right? So,
and I'm not talking about like the latest PlayStation. I'm like your time.
Yes. I think that one thing I've trained them to do is, and this is super weird, I'm in sales. Yeah. And I was taught that I think everyone in business is in sales, whether you like it or not, by the way, because your business lives and dies on sales. Yeah. If you don't get good at selling, your business won't last long. And one thing that I've learned is that you should never bring no into play. So my kids have been, this is a thing we practice at home. If you bring no into play, I'm going to say no. So they've learned to ask questions where I can't give them a yes or a no. So they'll ask things like, let's just say they need. In fact, Nina wanted this bean bag from Next. It's 100 quid. 100 quid. She said, Mum, what would you need from me to get this £100 bean bag? Instead of asking, can I have this bean bag? Or should ask things like, Dad, when could you possibly pass me the toilet roll? Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
She's not asking if I can, she's asking when I can. Yeah, she's honestly, they're both the same. Because we did this thing where we're like, yeah, I would do it for you, but you brought no into play. So I trained them. My wife hates it when they do it to her. Yeah, so she'll say, Nina, can you pass me some toilet roll? She'll say, yes, ma'am, but you'll have to ask a better question. I could bring it up, but you have to ask a better. She hates it. Yeah, so we do that all the time. When could you possibly pass me the salt, Dad? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so do I say yeah? I do say yes more often. Yeah,
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And do you know what? Not being tired all the time helps a ton.
It does. I know, like, my energy levels, like, have definitely gone through the roof over the last year. But with me being in a better state, I'd definitely say yes more. Yeah. It's not a bother. Yeah. Do you know? And I think energy levels just kind of change that.
It's almost. I wouldn't say it's a be all and end all, but it's like 80% here.
Yeah.
80% of people's problem is that their energy's not on point.
Yeah. Definitely.
And because when your energy's higher, your confidence is higher. When your energy's higher, you're more likely to take on challenges. When your energy's higher, funny enough, this is the paradox. When your energy's higher, you're more likely to go to the gym and train. When your energy's higher, you're more likely to eat better. It's a mad thing, that, isn't it? When your energy's higher, you can tolerate more people. When your energy's higher, you can impact more. There's so many benefits of that. And then you got to think about when your energy's low, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Your confidence is lower. Your diet's going to be worse. Your impact on other people is not going to be the same. You're not going to be as good a leader. And I think for men, we're actually leaders whether we like it or not. If you got kids, you're a fucking leader whether you like it or not. Like, kids copy. So when my kids when they're walking around the house slamming the doors, they've learnt that from somewhere.
They're gonna do it.
Do you know what I mean? If they're speaking to their mum like shit, they've learnt that from somewhere. I've just said mum. You can tell I've been to London, can't you?
I can't find a mum card anywhere when it comes to Mother's Day.
Max says it all the time. He said, do you know what you do now? You call tea dinner and you call dinner lunch.
Yeah.
I'm like, mate, I'm a man. I'm a cosmopolitan man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm like that now. When I first met Eve.
Yeah, lunch and dinner and then mum.
Tea?
What I really admire is you're saying that you're a leader, and it's a big statement to say that you're a leader of a lot of people's lives. Yeah. And you're dealing with people that are essentially in desperation and looking for help. Yeah. But it's you're acknowledging that people are like, not just your kids, but these people are like sponges, and your energy and that you're putting all that in is like really good to hear, because it's an important role to play in someone's life.
And again, I think that I was talking to my friend about this. He's got a big following on Instagram. He's an influencer, right? And I said, you know what though? Some people would class me as an influencer, but I think everyone's an influencer, really. Some people, Instagram, really, you've got some people that are just more entertaining than others. Yeah. They're not really influencers. I mean, there are influencers, but you class them, Instagram people, are just better entertainers. You know what I mean? That's people are on Instagram for entertainment, nothing else.
I think it's a funny one with Instagram and influencers. I'm with you, because the people that influence
Think about this. I don't go on Instagram to buy a suit. But I'll buy a suit when I see your suit.
Well, and that's what it's all about, in my opinion, because you're buying into the lifestyle. Yes. You're not buying into the product.
Yes.
It's like, do you know, where are you wearing it and how do you wear it and who are you engaging with and speaking to and all of that? Yeah. Not like, I'm going to wear a suit and there you go, I've posted it once and whatever. Yeah. It's not, you're buying in. We've got, I'm not going to mention the customers' names because we've got that many of them who I speak to every day. Yeah. And it's not about me running a business. Yeah. They've just bought into the lifestyle that goes with it.
And that's what happens to me. People aren't buying my unstoppable business. They're kind of just buying into me, and I'm cool with that. But again, are they really buying into me, or they're buying into wanting to have the same amount of energy as me?
I guess you
wanting the same kind of results as me. That's what I want.
It is
the same level of results as me.
It's similar to the lifestyle aspect, because again, if they're healthier, if their exercise is better, that has a knock-on effect to their mental health. Yeah. If their mental health and their exercise are better, their work ethic's better. It's like all a knock-on effect, and all that essentially is not a lifestyle. Yeah,
it is. Do you know? I had this conversation with my wife that I get asked all the time, should they do more about mental health in schools? I'm like, in primary schools, they shouldn't even be fucking talking about it. Kids shouldn't even know what that is. Kids should not know what anxiety is. They shouldn't know what depression is. They should maybe talk about feelings. But I'm like, let's just focus on physical health in primary school. Like, putting attention on anxiety and that, I'm like, you don't need it. Let's lay off it. Because they shouldn't know what it is. I didn't know what it is. I didn't know what it was.
I think once you start
the more
giving
attention you put on
a
it.
name,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've got that. I've definitely got that. And
Yeah, I was
need
talking to a guy the
tablets
other
for it.
day who was looking for some help. And I said, mate, he said, I'm exercising that, but it doesn't seem to be impacting me. I said, the biggest problem you've got is your Instagram handle is bipolar warrior. I said, so I get it. I was diagnosed bipolar, but until you drop that label you've put on yourself, you're fucked. It doesn't matter how much exercise you do because you've got the label, I am bipolar. That's because that's what people say. I'm bipolar. Like, you're not bipolar. You've got given that fucking label and you can either run with it or not. I'm like, I was told that I was. I was given the label, I was given the meds, but then funnily enough, I don't take them anymore. If I manage my lifestyle, I'm good. Not saying that's the case for everybody, but when people say shit like my anxiety, I'm like, it's not yours. You just create that state for yourself.
So when
sometimes.
you're coaching people, you're essentially not coaching them based on what they've been diagnosed or the label. You're looking at that person specifically in their issues.
I'm coaching them based on what they need to resolve.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
That's
it.
it. And I actually have I think I'm that confident and certain in my ability. I think I could coach anyone through anything because I don't even tell them what to do. That's not coaching. That's mentoring. Coaching is asking people powerful questions so that they have a breakthrough. Most of the time, I don't even say anything. I just ask the questions. It just so happens they're very uncomfortable, awkward questions that most people wouldn't ask them. But they have to have the break. Listen, when I tell someone to do something, it's my plan.
Yeah.
If I ask the right question, they come up with a plan. It's theirs, and they buy into it. It's like when the evil genius has a little sidekick that'll give him an idea.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "It's fucking stupid, that idea." And then later on in the movie, the villain will have the idea. He'd be like, "What an amazing idea I've had." And then the assistant's like, his sidekick would be like, "You fucking kidding me? I told you that 2 hours ago, mate." You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's so coaching. I've got to let them have the breakthrough. I can't tell them. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a coaching's a funny thing. Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up the podcast now, guys.
Yes.
So
Amazing.
we've definitely been talking for a lot of topics.
We've been talking shit. We've been talking shit. Talking shit with Paul Mort.
But we've came up with a lot of good topics, and I really enjoyed.
Amazing.
having you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you
Paul.
very much.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Great to have you in.
The podcast will be available on all the social channels, and we'll also link to Paul's podcast as well, because you should 100% check that out.
Amazing.
It's on a next level.
Well, if they're still listening, they're not easily offended. So, okay. People always say to me, "Where do you find out more?" But where do I find out more about your part? I'm like, well, the good news is, you're not a snowflake.
So
Thanks, everybody.
very
Thank
much,
you.
everyone. And
Great
take it
stuff.
easy.